Now, one more story, because have you ever given someone an aggressive yawn? How about an open-mouthed threat? Well, this spirited lot behind me do it all the time. They're macaques, and according to a new study, they can recognise a range of facial expressions in their own species. So far, so obvious, you might think, but the researchers behind the work hope the monkeys' behaviour could shed light on how we interact with each other and even how we acquired our language. Well, let's speak more about this to our science reporter, Melissa Hogenboom, who's here with me. And first of all, let's talk a little more about the research, what they've actually found.
Well, first of all, they had to challenge the monkeys to learn how to use a computerized touch game. They played a game of Snap, so to speak, and before they could understand more about whether they could recognize each other's facial expressions, they had to test them. And what they did was challenged monkeys to match two pictures, and they weren't matching playing cards, but they were matching the facial expressions and then with videos, and that showed that the monkeys really could discriminate between a whole range of facial expressions.
And that's a picture there of them using the touch screen to do exactly as you've just described. And what they have then gone through are the various faces that they recognise. I mean, you had the aggressive ones first, the screen face. Take me through that.
The screen face, I love this one. It really, you can see it's very expressive, and basically it shows that they're under threat. They are signalling that they might challenge one of their close competitors. So if you see that face, if another macaque sees it, you don't want to get too close. And there's a slight difference between the scream face, the one we see now is the one that's actually being aggressive towards another one. And then the yawn face, I love this one.
And yet that is seen, they think, as an aggressive posture, that one as well.
Yeah, so there's a slight difference between when you're the aggressor or being aggressive against someone, and it changes quite subtly. And it looks quite similar, but these subtle changes are really important to notice, because if they are such a social species, they need to understand when they're at threat or when someone's simply grimacing at them.
Those are the aggressive ones. The benign ones, you have where they show the teeth, a bit like, I suppose, a human smile.
Yeah, they actually call it a grimace, which I find quite funny and counterintuitive, but that indicates a smile, because they are a very social species. I mean, we can see they're always playing with each other. They need to understand their friendship groups, and they're not very hierarchical, which is why the researchers were so interested in this group.
So why isn't a lot of this what we would expect in terms of the very reason they are making these facial expressions? One would have assumed that they themselves know what they mean. So why do they think this research is exciting?
You would think so, and it does seem obvious, but I've got some friends who are terribly bad at recognising my facial expressions, I'd argue. And the reason why the researchers love this group, they're the crested macaque, they're only found in Indonesia, is because they have this really socially tolerant nature. There's no hierarchy, everyone can interact with each other, and the researchers think that understanding this total social tolerance, where everyone can be friendly, aggressive, there's no hierarchy, that might give them insight into how this complex social world evolved.
And also give us an insight to us and language and how that evolved as well.
Absolutely, because there's a view in primatology that the more increasingly complex that your social world is, the better language can evolve, because they don't really understand what 500,000 years ago some of our early ancestors were doing and how language really came to be.
Well, Melissa, it's absolutely fascinating. Thanks for taking us through it all. Well, that